So give it up for the coolest guy ever.
Everyone, thank you so much for coming a little bit early today. I sincerely appreciate it. I also must apologize. I think I've given everybody too much to think about. So everyone was really going deep and reflecting. Reflecting is always a good thing. But for those who ventured into some dark space, I'm sorry. That was never my intention. I planned some sessions, but what I did was I made some notes based on everything that I spoke to you about, and I thought I'll address that. But someone has the job of reminding me when it's 11:20, because I had a very hard stop. Okay, I'm sorry. Alright, so I'm going to recap quickly, just from yesterday. Okay. The first thing was 5 values that we need to cultivate in the person. Okay. Integrity, passion, forward thinking, teamwork, respect. The 5 values. The second question. Those 4 questions I asked you. How serious are you about healing? Okay. You know the 4 questions. I'm going to try to just skim through this. The third point. Your strengths and weaknesses. Remember, go Monday, first thing, email 5 friends. Strengths, weaknesses. You got to get that. And if they are very vague, email them again. Keep asking, keep asking, keep asking, till you get something that you can work. Beautiful. Okay. Exercise number 4, the givers and the takers. Okay, we need to get more love. It's okay to get love. So, and on this one point, I was going to tell people that, you know, once I say we give to family, it's natural to give to family. You don't have to expect financially, but you can expect a good communication, you can expect good love, you can expect good connectivity. Those things are fine to accept. And it's good to expect it and it's good to communicate about it. Right? If you're feeling that, and for some reason, I don't know why, I know it's an Indian thing where we find it hard to really express love and express how we feel about families and stuff. We gotta break that stigma. You know, everyone in this room, we're gonna take it on us to break that stigma. So that's point 5. Point 6, my restaurant theory, 10%. Take some time off, pause, reflect, look at the direction that you want to go. Very, very important. Okay. Point number 7, Medler Agori Baba, where he got me. We can use our conscious mind to tap into our subconscious. You can use your conscious mind to tap into the superconscious. Okay. Use what is around you. Use the people around you, use the food, use the places, use the environment. These are tools for you. Okay. The more conscious you are, the more you use it, the further your development will happen. Okay. Then that reflection exercise where you looked at each other and you realized that there's something you didn't want someone to see. Okay, we have to dig deep, go away, look for what it is that we don't want someone to. There's a good chance we know it. It's those skeletons in the closet that we got to somehow unravel. And there's nothing bad about it because whatever it is, everyone's got some skeletons in the closet. Unless you kill someone, then go do your time and then the skeleton won't get in the closet. But you know, get rid of it. Okay. And the last point that I mentioned was 70-20-10. The importance of that 10% in grounding your energy. Okay. So today, I'm going to go a little faster. Okay. But I've got a few exercises because you'll love that. I've got a few stories. I've got all sorts of things. So we're going to start off with a little exercise. Okay, everyone open your books, get a piece of paper, pen. And this one won't work on the phone, so you need to write or you need to draw. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, I want you to draw a square. Okay, I want you to draw a circle. No, you can draw it anywhere. That page is your canvas, where whatever you want to do, you can do it. Okay, draw a circle. Okay, I want you to draw a triangle. Okay.
I want you to draw a rectangle. You can draw it anywhere, please. Do whatever you want to. Yeah. Good. I want you to draw an amoeba, like an amoeba or a squiggly line. Like you just draw a squiggly line or an amoeba. Good. Okay, now from all of those, look at them very carefully. I want you to pick one and draw it again. Whichever one you want to draw it again. Okay, super stuff. Draw any one shape again. Whichever one you want to. Alright, so sorry, today I'm going to go a little faster. Okay. Alright, so now you can just look at me and listen to what I'm saying. I'm going to explain what you've just done. And I'm going to give you an insight into your personality. Because this is what we need to do. We need to start reflecting on the type of person we are, because we want to use our strengths. So you want to use what's working for you. Now each of these has ups and downs. Okay. So the very first shape I asked you to do is a square. A square represents somebody who likes rules, regulations, who likes structure, who likes framework. Right? You operate best in that sort of environment. So anything that you're doing in life, you need a framework within which to operate, and you would know this about yourself. So if you drew that square again, you're someone who really loves structure in place. Okay, very, very important. Okay, so remember, whether it's in work, whether it's in your relationship, whatever it is, if you're in a relationship and you're with somebody who is completely scattered, doesn't like to organize anything, that will constantly press the wrong buttons in you. So you need to understand that you're a structural person, okay, and it's in your best interest to build structure around it, because your mind processes logic and rationality. Okay. If you draw a circle, you're a people's orientated person, which means you put a lot of energy and a lot of emphasis on the happiness and joy of the people around you. Okay, you are extremely focused on others. Okay, and one of the disadvantages of that is you neglect your own personal growth. Okay, sometimes you neglect saying what's important about yourself or how your emotions are feeling, because you're always thinking about the happiness of others. Okay, now that's very good. It means that you are a people's oriented person. You can use a network, you can build a network very, very carefully or very quickly. But it also means that you're someone who has to take a lot of time, right, in understanding yourself and communicating how you feel to this network. Because you could easily become a victim of the tribe you create around you. Okay, that's what the circle means. If you've drawn a triangle, it means you're a natural leader. It means that you like giving direction to groups. You like to be the leader. You like your voice to be heard. You like the person who's going to chart that strategy and give direction. It also means that sometimes you have an inability to be open to feedback. You have an inability to listen when someone else is talking. You have an inability to be suppressed in an environment. And to be a good leader, you need to be a good follower. Okay, but this is your innate trait, is leadership, and you need to cultivate these elements in there. So what do you need to learn? You need to learn, how can I give direction clearly? Okay, and there's a beautiful psychological technique called the Feynman technique, which is very important. It's a teaching technique for leaders. When you're teaching something to someone, you get them to teach it back to you, so you identify the gaps in learning. It's called the Feynman technique. Feynman, Alexander Feynman technique. Okay, so that's leadership. If you've drawn a rectangle, the rectangle is a representation of a transition in energy, which means in this current space that you are in right now, you are asking a lot of questions. You are reflecting. You're wondering whether the job that I'm in right now is the job that I want to do. Am I happy in this relationship? Am I happy living where I am? Can I see myself doing this for the next 10 years, next 20 years? The rectangle represents all those questions that are in your head. If that is that dominant feature, and you look at it and you know that this is the state of mind that you're in, because these elements are coming from your subconscious mind. That's why I didn't tell you what it is, I just made you draw it. I tried to tap into your subconscious. Okay? Now, your subconscious is a bit scattered. It's not a bad thing. It just means you need to go deep, you need to reflect, you need to ask these questions, you need to answer these questions. Okay? And drawn an amoeba, you're a highly creative person. Okay, you don't like structure, you're very free thinking, you like lighter colors, pastel colors, you go with the environment, and whoever you're with, whatever environment you're working with, whatever type of relationship you're, it's important that you communicate these things to people, because if someone tries to build structure around you, you'll feel constricted. If someone restricts your space, you'll feel constricted. Right? Creative people, you know what creative people are like, they're always late and they always thinking, and you can have a conversation and their attention span is 2 minutes because their mind's gone somewhere else. You know this about them, right? So it's important that you communicate these things, because that's the truth. That's the truth, right? Now, I wanted to show you this because this is a reflection of your personality. Okay, and this is the first step of giving you something to go back and reflect and go back and look on. Okay, super stuff. All right, I'm going to move ahead. I have to keep referring to my notes to look at. So in the world of sport, someone came and told me, asked me some questions like, we can't find motivation, we can't find, we try to stick to something and we don't have the discipline and the dedication. Okay, in the world of sport, we coined a term, it's called PlayStation mode. Okay, now what is PlayStation mode? For anyone who's played an Xbox or PlayStation or Wii or whatever it is you're playing on games, if you're playing golf, for example, and you line up the thing and you tee it off and it lands in the bush, there's one button that you hit and you're back on the tee box again. Okay, you reset. Reset button, correct. You can reset everything. If you die on this temple run, you reset and you're back there. Whatever it is, the gamers would know. That's what PlayStation is. The reset button is there. Unfortunately, in life, there is no reset button. You make a mistake, there's a penalty for failure. Okay, so what do we do in the world of sport? Athletes who practice in PlayStation mode are never ever successful, ever. Okay, and I'm doing this for 20 years, so I know this. So what I do is I bring a penalty for failure into practice. And if you do that in life, you're taking the successes and you're taking the moldings from practice into life. So think of it, like for example, my cricketers, every time they overstep in practice, I charge them $100, 7,500 rupees. Okay, so you can overstep every single ball and I'll take it off your bank account, right? Or you can learn this lesson and get behind the line. Because every time you get behind the line here, your chance of making that error in the match is less likely. So whatever it is that you really want to discipline yourself with, put a penalty for failure, because there will be a penalty for failure, okay, in life. So for example, if you're a writer who needs to submit a deadline, or if you're a creative person who's got a project, okay, and you're time bound, right? You cannot afford to keep procrastinating, because it's a penalty for failure. You will lose that contract, you will lose that job, and you will probably deliver terrible work because you're rushing at the end. So if you're setting a process like, I'm going to write for 2 hours every day, I've got to write 5,000 words, I've got to do this amount of work, and if you don't do it, right, you have to put a penalty for failure. Like when I first moved into the temple, my penalty for failure was with chanting. I needed to chant 16 rounds a day. Okay, and I said to myself, I would not put a drop of water in my mouth till that was not done. Okay, and if I took till 12 o'clock or took till 3 o'clock, it didn't matter. I had to get that done before I ate. Right, and sometimes I got really hungry, and then I went and did my rounds, and then I ate. Okay, so there has to be a penalty for failure with everything. So think about what it is, and remember, this is called PlayStation mode. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little exercise. I call it the tombstone drill. Okay, this doesn't have a great name, but anyway, I want you to just take on a piece of paper. I want to write down, you don't have to write down a whole paragraph, but write down 5 words that you would like someone to describe you at your funeral, or if someone's writing a eulogy for you. What are 5 words that you think you would like them to say about you? Right? Just don't have to write a whole paragraph, just pick words, whatever it is. Okay, how are we going? I'll give you 30 seconds more. Okay, brilliant. Even if you got 2 or 3, it's fine. Okay, so I've come up with a test and which I use in talks, which I used to talk to people. It's called the orange test. Right, an orange, not the color, the fruit. Okay, so if I squeeze an orange, what will I get out of it? Yeah, what juice? Correct. Will I get any other juice? No, no chance. Okay. Why am I getting orange juice? Because orange is inside. Correct? Now, look at the list of words that you put on that paper. Okay. The pressure that I use to squeeze an orange is representative of the pressures that you have in the world, with your family, with life, in your relationships, at work. Pressure exists everywhere. We cannot get away from it. Pressure is on us all the time, and it's squeezing us. Okay. What is coming out of you? What do you want to be remembered like, and what is coming out of you? The only thing that will come out of you is what is in you. And if you want people to remember you by this, we have to fill yourself with this. You understand? Okay, this is called my orange test. So go and you can deep dive into these. You can deep dive into these words. You can write as many things. You can define it. You can write as much as you want to. And after you've written it, now we've got to look at ways in which we can start filling ourselves in this. Because pressure exists. You will be squeezed. You will be under pressure. And this is what we want coming out of you. So that when you are listening to your own eulogy from 10 meters above, right, they're actually saying what you've written down. Okay. Now, I'm going to go into a few stories. Here in Chandigarh, actually, 2 years ago, I was going through a bit of trauma with my company, VC trouble. I'm sure every entrepreneur knows it. And I was going through a lot of trouble. And what happens, all of us have got problems, isn't it, at some stage. And when you have problems, you think about your problem, okay, and you phone someone who can help you. That person can either help you monetarily or financially, or can make a phone call or do something, isn't it? And very often, the person you phone just doesn't do anything. Okay, it doesn't do anything. Then you go back and you think, time has gone by, time is of the essence. You go back and you think for yourself. Okay, and another name pops into your head. Then you go and phone that person. Okay, and maybe they'll help or maybe they won't help. Okay? And if they don't help, then you go back and you sit quietly in the corner. We cry a little bit, and then we think again, and another name comes in. Okay, and maybe that third person will help. We don't know, or the fourth person helps. Now, can everyone relate to this? Yes. Everyone can relate to this. Has anyone thought of why the first name came first, and why didn't that fourth name that helped you come first? Have you ever occurred to you why that has happened? Huh? You've thought about that? Yes. Past experiences? Could be past experience. Okay. Because when you're sitting, and I used to get very disappointed by the people who never responded to my calls for help, because I like to give, I like to help people. That's who I am. So I felt that if I'm helping people, when I'm in a point of trouble, surely they'll help me. And I used to get extremely disappointed when they did it. Okay. And I met this pastor, and he told me this beautiful story. He says that when you're praying, when you're in a difficult place and you're praying, okay, you're praying to an energy. Okay. That energy has put that name in your head. It didn't come from anywhere. Okay. And why did it put that name in your head? Because it gave that person the resources to help you. See, God or energy is not going to come down and give you the money or whatever with that person. So it's connected you with people that have the resources. But as human beings, we have free will. Okay. Which means you have the ability to decide whether to use that free will in helping or not helping. But you have those resources. Okay. So when you've been connected to that person, right, that person had free will to make a decision whether to help you or not. Okay, and they may have chosen not to and you've moved on. But what is the important lesson to learn here? The important lesson to learn is that every time someone comes to you for help, you may not be in a position to help them monetarily or financially, but you're definitely in a position to help them spiritually, which means you can close your eyes and you can pray to the universe, say, please make their life better. Please give them what they want to. I'm not in a position to do that today. Yeah. And what you're doing is you're cultivating compassion, those seeds of compassion in you. Because as you start cultivating it, that's what's coming out of you, and that's okay, what will keep coming back to you. Okay. So this was a very, very important lesson. Okay. So practice this, and I do this all the time when I'm in the rickshaws in Bombay or whatever, and every time I see someone, the person is not even begging, but he's just, sitting on the side of the road. He's not asking anyone for anything. He's not sure, but you can see there's a little like worry or a sense of despondency on their face. So there's some troubles. I just close my eyes and say, God, do one thing that makes him smile today. That's all. Keep saying. And say this as much as you can. If you can say it 100,000 times a day, it's amazing. You'll feel amazing because at that very moment of just saying this, you feel truly transformed. Okay. So, I'm going to move on to something else. Okay. And this is a little bit of a sporting example. Okay. I never let my athletes set foot on a sporting field if the purpose of that session is not defined. Okay. Now, the word purpose has been really, it's been overused in so many shapes and forms, because we say, find your purpose, define your purpose, what is your purpose, this, and it's all matters, but purpose applies to everything we do in life. Now, I will not let my athletes set foot if the purpose is not defined. So, are they trying to get faster? Are they trying to get stronger? Am I trying to build aerobic capacity? Am I trying to train recovery? What am I trying to get out of that session? Because if that is not clear, every session will roll on exactly the same. If you're a runner, every run will look the same. You'll run at the same speed, you'll run at the same distance. If you like going to the gym, you'll do the same exercise and you'll lift the same weights. Right? Whatever it is, you'll keep doing the same thing. So spend some time, and this is a habit that you can cultivate. Never ever start anything if the purpose of that has not been defined. Okay, so what do you want to get out of that session? It can be from a meeting with a person. It can be from a conversation with someone. It can be from a type of meditation that you're doing. It can be from a gym workout. You can bring purpose into everything. We seem to use the word purpose to define our life. Okay, but purpose comes into every single element. Okay, and that's so important. And I was having a conversation with someone today, and they were talking about goal settings. And they said, in the world of sports, see, there are three types of goals. We have macro goals, we have meso goals, and we have micro goals. Micro goals are goals you can set for that one session. You can set it for the day, you can set it for the week. Meso goals are maybe for a month or for a quarter or for 6 months. Macro goals for my Olympians are, the first macro goal is qualify, the second macro goal is make the final, and then once you're at the final, it's what happens on the day. We never ever set a goal to a final, because we set a process to getting there, and then we let everything just roll. Okay, but meso means middle, medium. Medium is your medium-term goals. Now remember, all of these need to dovetail into each other. So you know what your macro goal is. Your meso goal needs to fit into that. Your micro goal needs to fit into that. Okay, so you cannot set simple, and there's theories that who say set a lot of short-term goals. Of course, it's good. But if the short-term goals are not fitting into a meso or a macro goal, you're going to go nowhere. Okay, there's a beautiful experiment that was done by, I think in Stanford, the marshmallow experiment, which is the science of delayed gratification for children. The same thing happens to us. Where's the delayed gratification if you're only setting short-term goals? If you're only setting short-term goals, where's the delayed gratification? How are you building up to something bigger in there? So you can go and read about that. So these are how you bring purpose into every single thing you do. And I was having, anyone plays the flute here? Can anyone play the flute? No, okay. You can? Oh, amazing. So I was sitting with two musicians, Hari Prasad Chaurasi and Ronu Majumdar. Amazing flutists, amazing. I learned so much from them, and they taught me something. They said, purpose, your why, can be defined in so many ways, and it's so important to do it. So I asked them, I said, please explain to me. So he says, in the context of a musician, right? what are you playing for? Are you playing, and I'll give you examples, are you playing because you want to play for, he used Krishna, you want to play for Krishna or you want to play for God? Right? Are you playing because you love the instrument and you want to cultivate satisfaction for yourself? Are you playing because you want to bring happiness and joy to everyone who listens to your music? Are you playing because you want to create a piece of music that the world will look back to, that will be your legacy? Are you playing because you want to be admired by your peers and your colleagues? See, all of these are taking that why deeper and deeper and deeper. So it's such an important exercise. I learned so much from him. I went back, and every why that I had in my life, I struck a chord down it, and I was like, how am I going to take this deeper? How am I going to take this? Because that's the essence of life. The essence of life is the more you deep dive into something, the more you cut through it, right? The clearer that vision becomes, the easier it is for you to actually understand how to achieve and how to attain it. So we set very big goals, and we set that, but we've not defined them. And more important than that, this is the most important part. Okay. And remember, this whole exercise is on finding balance, finding your true north, finding everything. If you, and I meet entrepreneurs, I meet young, enthusiastic entrepreneurs every single day. Okay. If you've set up a company, okay, and your sole aim is, you may have set up a company in health and wellness, you may have set up a company treating cancer, or you may have set up a company that builds and brings tribes together, right? And the reason you set this company up is because it's trending at the time, and it's a new market trend, and I'm going to get into it because this is where I can make money, right? And if money is your motivation, but you're speaking something else, the paths are crossed. Okay, you won't be happy, okay, and you will not do justice. So when you define your why, what is the most important thing? Is be true about how you communicate your why. You know, we seem to think it's a bad stigma that I want to set up a business that makes money. There's nothing wrong with it, right? It's wrong if you think it's wrong, and you don't want to commit. If it's wrong, if you think it's wrong, then it will be wrong. If there's a malalignment with why you're thinking that, then there's malalignment internally. If there's any malalignment, okay, how are you going to find happiness? How are you going to find joy? Okay. And this brings me to the concept of which I started yesterday, balance. A few people came to me and they said, listen, I'm happy in my job, but I'm not happy with my health. Or I'm happy in my relationship, but I don't like my job. And what did I mean by balance? I didn't mean that you have to change everything. But I mean that the area that needs change in your life will need counter change somewhere else. Okay? You cannot, for example, if you want to lose some weight, and many of you have gone on some remarkable transformations, and you would have seen that for you to change and lose your weight, you would have had to change the food, change your friends, change where you shop, change how you go out, which is your environment. You may have had to even change relationships in there. Because if you didn't change that, you wouldn't have got the results you wanted to here. So that's what I mean by balance. I mean the body, mind, the environment, and the relationships need to dovetail each other. They will not be able to work, they will not be able to fit if there's not fitting in beautifully with each other. Okay, so I will, anyone watches rugby? Any Aussies here? One Australian. Any New Zealanders, Kiwis? Any? Yeah? Any Kiwis in the room? No. New Zealanders. You like rugby? You like rugby? You love it? Okay. You look like a rugby player. Yeah? Huh? Australian roots football. Yeah, that's it. But, so in 2011, the Rugby World Cup was around the corner. Okay. And New Zealand were number one in the world. And the most important position is the fly half in rugby. And the fly half was Dan Carter, a rock star in the game. If you know nothing about rugby and you know Dan Carter's name, you can literally have a conversation about rugby because you just say, I watched this game with Dan Carter, and the person will do all the talking after that. So this is a biohack for rugby. So Dan Carter was he was a rock star, absolute rock star. And a month before the World Cup, he fell and he ruptured his knee, and he was out for the World Cup. Right, so he's gone. And there was another guy who stepped in. Okay, his name was Colin Slade. So Colin Slade was Dan Carter's right hand. Okay, and he stepped in. And they were playing 2 tests before they went to the World Cup. And the 5 minutes of the second half of that test before they went to the World Cup, he fell and he ruptured his knee, and he was out. Okay. Now there's only one more left. There's only one more left in the whole squad. His name was Aaron Crudon. Okay, so Aaron Crudon now steps up to be the team's first fly half, and they go to the World Cup. Okay. But they needed one more replacement. So the coach gets on a call and he phones a gentleman by the name of Stephen Donald. Now, where's Stephen Donald? Stephen Donald is fly fishing, right? He's fly fishing like in the hills in New Zealand. Like, they didn't get hold of him. And they tell him, Stephen, do you want to go to World Cup? And he's completely shocked because, he's got no connectivity. He knows what's happened to Dan, but he doesn't know what happens to Colin. And he says, you want me to come? Like, he didn't even feature anywhere. No one even thought he would be there. So he got excited. He said, sure, I'll be there. Packs his bags, goes. And I've been in these situations where we call people from out of the blue, and they literally arrive to the first team practice like they looked on the beach, because that's literally where they've come from. They were in shorts and slop, and they're looking like me right now. And they come and everyone's in their outfits because we've literally pulled them off the beach. This happens in sports sometimes. So the World Cup is 6 weeks, and he's there, and he knows he's got absolutely no chance of playing. So he doesn't play a single game at all. New Zealand wins, they win the semi-finals. They get to the finals. They're doing well, okay, but not too well. They are 9-11 down in the second half, okay, and a half in rugby is only 40 minutes, okay. So in the 43rd minute of the Rugby World Cup final, okay, Aaron Crudon fell and tore his ankle. Okay, but it was an injury, okay, which means final kick, just one kick left, right, which could give them the victory, has to be done by a guy who was fly fishing 6 weeks ago. Yeah. So he runs on, so Stephen Donald runs, okay, he places the ball there, he takes a few deep breaths, okay, he runs up and he kicks it, and everyone is looking at this ball. And it goes between the posts. And New Zealand win the World Cup. Okay. Now, how did that happen? Okay. In the world of sport, okay, you don't know when an opportunity is going to come. You never know. Okay. But I'm going to give you a piece of advice. All of you want to change your life. You want something to happen. You wish someone will call you up. You hope something like that. There is nothing worse in life than getting an opportunity you're not prepared for. Remember that. Nothing worse in life. Okay. So, this practice that you do every day, these habits that you cultivate every day, are ensuring that when that opportunity comes, you're in the best position to kick it through the post. Okay. That's a very, very important lesson in life. Alright. Super stuff. So, do you want to do a few more exercises or a few more exercises? Okay, let me see my... People ask me so much of questions and I wrote them all down. Okay, this is a really nice one. We're going to do this. I want you to... We're not going to do 3 names. I want you to write down, it may take you some time, write down one person who has been upset, you have been upset with for a long time, and you stop speaking to that person. Okay? Just write down. You may have stopped talking to them, or your relationship with them may have been severed, or something. This is a difficult one, I know. Just write down the name. We got it? Good. Okay. Now, I want you to write down the name of a person you have been upset with for a long time and have stopped speaking to. Okay. Like, yeah. So I said, the first one is you are upset with someone. Okay. So now write down the name of someone who's upset with you and they're not talking to you. Okay. Your relationship with them is completely severed. Okay. You can think. You can find. We all have these people. We all have them. It's life. Okay. Okay, we got it? We got some name? Okay, fine. Amazing. Now, do you wish that, do you feel that person that is upset with you? Okay, remember that name, we're looking at that second name. Do you feel that if they understood your point of view, they would perhaps not be upset with you? You all feel that? Correct? Okay, that's amazing. Now, in life we make a very critical error. Okay, we judge ourselves by our intentions, but we judge others by their actions. Okay, yeah, in life we judge ourselves by our intentions and we judge others by their actions. So that names that you put down on there, you think that you're still a great person because if you had the opportunity to explain to that person, right, everything would be okay. But you're not prepared to transfer that and give that person an opportunity to explain. And sometimes maybe they're not ready. But at least cultivating an open mind towards it is the first step. Okay. Now, so very, very important. Remember, intention is critical. In the legal world, you know, you can actually get judged by a crime purely on intention, not on action. You know, so intention is what actually keeps things going in the right direction. All right. So I'm going to move ahead. How are we doing for time? Sorry, I have to keep checking. I got 10 minutes. All right, 10, 20 minutes. All right. Someone asked me a very, very. I'll tell you a little story before I go into this one. In my home in South Africa, every day we make, they make 2 loaves of sandwiches and we give it out as, you know, to beggars who come and to people who want to eat, something like that. We give it to them. Okay. And a few years ago, my dad has a jewelry shop at the bottom and it's above our home. And one particular day, my grandfather comes down and it's in the afternoon. So these sandwiches are sitting there from 10 in the morning and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and none of them are gone. Absolutely not. So he asked my dad and he was very upset. He said, why have you not given these out? What are they still doing here? So my dad says, no beggars came. So he's like, what do you mean no beggars came? How is that possible? No beggars came. So my grandfather in his angst, and he was a very wonderful man, very spiritual man, he said, I'm going to go and give these sandwiches out. So he took this whole basket and he was old. He was 86 years at that time. Okay, and he goes for a walk. He walks all the way down, right to the end of this promenade where all these shops are. And he comes all the way back and the basket is full. Not a single sandwich is given out. Okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this conversation and my dad's asking, what happened? Why didn't you give these? He says, I didn't see any beggars. So my dad started laughing and then my grandfather says, you know, it's so important to express gratitude to the universe for every person we can do something kind for. When someone comes to your doorstep for help, okay, we should be grateful. Because the opportunity to serve is very rare. You can go looking for it, it may not come. It's an opportunity to change your karma, it's an opportunity to change your mind, to cultivate so much. Okay? So really start expressing a lot of gratitude for these processes. Okay. Now, the reason I'm saying this is, someone in one of my conversations, a gentleman asked me, says, I have a lot of anxiety. I have a lot of anxiety because I run a company and I would like to move on, and I'm worried about everyone else in the company, how they manage. And some of us are stuck in that same situation in bad relationships. We can't move on because what will happen to that person? Or we can't leave this job because how will they manage? And that's a famous one. We give a lot of importance to ourselves in the sense that, we can't move on. We can't make a decision that's in alignment with our soul because of the fact that how will they move on? And my answer to it was, I said, anxiety is an indication that you have lost faith in the universe. Okay, that's what it is. Any anxiety you have is an indication. You will be anxious when you take everything under your control. When you try to control everything, you will be anxious. Remember this. Okay. So, you remember, as soon as you bring your mind into alignment and you realize that this energy that has given you the home and the beautiful wife and the loving family and all the money that you want is the same energy that's looking after someone else. And if you think that, you are doing it, then you're sorely mistaken. And you need to realign your faith with the universe. Anxiety is that. Have more faith, All the universe wants is for you to live a purposeful, aligned life. That's it. Bring everything in alignment. Okay? It will take care of everything else. You can't do anything. Nothing is in your control. Nothing is in your control. Just surrender. And the day you surrender, Gauranga Das, my friend, will come. Please give him a lovely welcome. He will speak to you on the power of surrender. The day you surrender to the universe, you will be infinitely happier. Infinitely happier. And the other thing I was telling someone is, where does anxiety come in? They said, we feel like we're working so hard, but, we're anxious, we're not achieving, we're not doing everything. I said, anxiety comes in when you're trying to do everything for yourself. When you're trying to make $1 million, when you're trying to buy the house, when you're trying to buy the car, when you're trying to put food on 1 million people's plate, then you will be anxious, of course. But when you're doing something in alignment with a greater cause, there's no anxiety. You'll work 10 times harder, right? But there's no anxiety in it. Right? That's the power of service. That's the power of surrender. Right? So it's a really beautiful power. Okay? And then I have a lot of CEOs, and this is a beautiful one. A lot of CEOs come to me and they said, we're always disappointed with the people we are working with. Okay, how many of us are disappointed here? Disappointed with the employees we work with, disappointed in our relationship, disappointed in our expectation. We have so much of expectations and people never meet up to them. Okay, everyone, all of us have this. And then, so I sit them down and I said, firstly, right, there is no game. There's no game of life. Life is not a game. It's just a journey. It's a beautiful journey. And the amazing thing is we all start at different places and at different times. Okay. How is the game of life fair when one has got an MBA from Harvard and one is an IITian and one is going to a public school where they don't have resources? How is the game of life fair when one comes from an infinite amount of money and one is struggling to put bread on the table? How is the game of life fair when one person arrives in a BMW and the other is taking a train from 2.5 hours away? Is that a fair game? That's not a game. I work in sport. Sport is when we start on an equal playing field. When the bell goes off, everyone's the same. It's a meritocracy. Okay. So the first thing is in managing expectations is before you set expectations of people, okay, you need to have conversations with them. Okay. You need to align what someone can deliver with what your expectations of that person are. Because they are disappointing you. There's a good chance they're not disappointing themselves because they are understanding and fully appreciative of the journey that they're on. They know what they're capable of delivering, right? But you don't understand that. You have set the bar there and everyone's constantly disappointing you. And they're feeling terrible. They're feeling terrible because they don't want to disappoint you, but they don't have any other means in every other way. And how fair is it that you're setting the same expectations for two different people whose journeys are completely different? Is that fair? How fair are you being? Okay, so I tell people in managing expectations, right? Step one of managing expectations is managing your communication with people to understand what their needs are, what their ability to deliver it is, and align it with whatever. And the second thing is, I give them a beautiful exercise. Okay, I tell them, look at everybody in your life. You can make a list of all your friends, or you can make a list of all your employees. Okay, and no one's going to see this list except you. Okay, and if your life depended on it, right, put a score of 1 to 10 next to their name. Right? Who would you give the most important task to? Okay, and put it there. Right? Now, that score that you're putting has come through a byproduct of experiences, their knowledge, how long they've been with you, the friendship, what they've done in the past. It's all culminated. It's all culminated to that. Okay, so when you do the score, then you're able to better align your expectations with them. So when you have something that's really important, give it to someone who's 10. And if you have a job that's got a little bit more time, then give it to someone who's 5 or 6 and give them more time to come up to that. Okay, it's very important. This is how you manage expectations with people. A lot of times we have tunnel vision around what we want and what we expect. Okay, and we're not prepared to look beyond that, and that's where the problem comes in. So I have 3 minutes, and let me see what is the one last point I can talk about is, okay, I wanted to talk about one thing. Maybe there's so much to say. I can't, I'd love to. Okay, all right, I'm going to give you 2 things, 2 quick points. One is, I want you to think back to when you first had your job. When you first got into a job, when you were an intern, and some of you are still interns out there, okay, right? What was the one thing that made you happy? Was when you were working, okay, you were working really hard, when your superior, your boss, came up to you and said, good job, I like what you're doing. I've noticed you're doing an amazing job, and thank you so much, isn't it? That gave you enough fuel in your belly to keep you going for another 6 months. But as you move up the corporate ladder, as you get richer and wealthier, and you become CEOs and you become presidents and all of this, you forget the importance of appreciation and acknowledgement in leadership. You forget that. So 2 of the most important qualities that you can ever cultivate as a leader is your ability to express gratitude and appreciation to every person in your organization. And you can take it beyond your organization to life. Right? Appreciate and acknowledge them in your life. Thank them. Okay? Because there's nothing more powerful than appreciation and acknowledgement. Okay? And the last thing I was going to say is, people come and I counsel a lot of people who are in relationships, and I don't know how I'm qualified to do that, but in any shape and form, what I do. Okay? And so I tell them, right, you can try this really beautiful exercise in a relationship, and you can try this in life or in a job or whatever. You take a keyword. So for example, if you're getting in a relationship with someone, if you're getting in whatever you want to call that word, it could be relationship. You and your partner just do a simple exercise. Tell him, can you please write down 3 things that relationship means to you? And I'm going to write down 3 things that relationship means to me. Okay? And then you look at alignment. If there's a malalignment in how we are perceiving this relationship we're entering in, there's going to be conflict. If one person sees a relationship only as loyalty and another sees a relationship only as intimacy, that relationship will never work, because there's already a malalignment in the meetings of why we're coming together. So start with a very, you'll find if you find alignment there, everything will flow from there. Now, after you find alignment, fighting, anger is a part of life. Everyone gets angry. So people say, how are you not angry? I'm not angry because I'm not in a relationship. I have a fight with. Okay. But if you are and you need to fight, I tell people you're allowed to fight. I give people permission to fight. But you do not have permission to raise your voice. You can fight as much as you want to, but you speak in this tone. Right? And if you want to fight, you continue. Please continue fighting. Yeah. So I've noticed that everyone who I've given this advice to, 6 months later, they don't fight anymore, because they tell me why. I said, there's no fun if you can't scream. So, it's amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor. Thank you very much.